I will be this kind of person in this position. And of course, after you graduate the university school, you are starting to begin work, and uh, after a month of time, a lot of time passing, and sometimes you are thinking that as if I would be, I can return back and change my degree, or I would, for example, I have this kind of regret that I would like to attend in the Russian group at school, secondary school. I would like to study at a Russian sector. In this case, now I'm very regret. I feel regret for this, that I cannot learn Russian well. And we know that when you are child, your brain is working very good, and you are going to gain the information fastly. And but after you get a little older, or in the middle of your age, you cannot memorizing the things good. And for this, it's important that you have to choose good decisions when you are studying at school. And that's all.
That's all. Okay. So
Yes.
the next question is for Rasul. What do you think about the advantages of integrating technology into education? Or in other, yeah. Okay. What are the advantages of technology in education?
Technology in education.
Yeah. For example, I'm telling you that you need to, let's say, use these applications, mobile applications, or now we are conducting our lesson or conversation club through Zoom, which is another technology. Okay. Or sometimes we're using the, let's say, webinars. Okay. All of them are different types of technologies. And what is the advantage of using technology in education? This is the question.
Advantage.
So advantage means good side. What's the good side of?
We can't go to the schools when the pandemic comes, and we need to learn our school lessons, school program. That's why we can use Zoom program, or some Microsoft programs to make lessons online. This is a good side of lesson. This is good side of technology. Then we don't know some lessons about when the teacher says. We can use Google. We can use Google to learn some lessons. It is one of the good sides.
It's another good side, or further good side, all right? Okay.
So.
How about online resources? That you can find lots of books, lots of video materials, and also technology makes it portable, that you can carry the books, hundreds of books, within only 2 grams or maybe 5 grams of flash drive, right? Or adults even can take distance learning courses, right? So if you are 65-year-old adult, okay, an older person, and you can go to the school where all the, let's say, elder students are 18 years old. You cannot sit in the same class, right? But through online courses, it's one of the advantages that it enables adults to take lessons over the online courses, right? Also, students can study whenever and wherever they want, right? There's no any place and time restriction. You can study the online courses that are recorded. Let's say you can study it at night or at, let's say, different times of the days, such as in the morning, in the evening, depending on your schedule. And also, you can take the lesson either at your home or, let's say, on the beach or in any other place, and there's no any restriction. You're just watching the teacher, you're listening and answering the question when it's required, if it is required. Okay, now the next question is for Ms. Naima. You're going to talk about the disadvantages of technology in education. What might be some of the disadvantages of technology in education sector?
Technology can help us in every sector of life, in our education, our work, personal life. But using it wrongly can be, but we have some disadvantages by using it wrong. For example, some students could cheat the teachers during the examination. For example, the teacher, when teacher asks them a questions, they can receive the help from others which on the background of camera, and giving and it's not and I think it's not advocate giving them high marks because of they don't gain these marks themselves. And by other issues, some students who live in the regions and who have poor connections, they can't join the online lessons or exams. They have some difficulties about it. But I think these problems can be solved in the future, and all regions will be provided good internet connection in one day. But I think technologies have more advantage than disadvantage about education.
How about reliance on too much computers? Is it also a kind of disadvantage or advantage? Reliance too much on computers or any other type. Reliance is the noun form for rely, right? Rely on something. You know what this means?
Yes,
It means
yes.
Trust. Trusting too much in computers is a kind of positive or negative side of technology.
Yes. Sorry, I would add about this that to my mind, it depends on your where you are getting information, where from you are getting information, and of course, for now, at this time, we have plenty of these resources from the internet, but we have to be attentive when we choose which kind of material we are learning, we are finding out them, and of course, there are a little. So there are a few disadvantages of the technology of reliance too much on computers. Yes, we have to balance them. We have to choose accurately what we are learning, what we are using it for, which purposes we are using these computers, and throughout the day, we for our healthy, we don't use the much computer. It is also important aspect that we have to take balance when using technology.
All right.
So,
Would you like to work in education sector? The next question is for Rasul.
Education.
Now, would you like to work in education sector in the future? It's not do you like to, would you like to, okay? Therefore, you need to use your imagination when answering this question.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Okay, would you like to work in education sector?
In education sector.
Okay, the answer is yes or no. And then you're going to provide the supporting details that why you want to work in this sector or not. Okay.
Yes, I can. Because in education sector, you teach the children's lessons, and I think it is a good job.
It's a good job. Okay. So why is it a good job? Can you elaborate your answer? Because you make them feel more positive and contribute to the society. Maybe this is your answer. Or maybe you feel like that by sharing your knowledge and skills with others might make you happy as well as the others. Maybe this is your answer. I don't know what your answer is, but whatever the answer that you provide regarding the question that you address, then you have to make it in a meaningful way by exactly placing your reasons and examples that what you say so and why you say so. Okay? By just answering yes or no, it's never going to demonstrate your proficiency in English. Okay? Therefore, you have to think further. Okay, this is my recommendation to you. Okay, now let's go to another question. What kinds of problems do you think that we have in the education sector in developing countries?
problems?
So the question is for Ms. Naima.
Yes.
I think nowadays we have many problems about the education system. At first, we can observe some professors, teachers at the universities who eliminate students' mark and who can't teach good lessons to us, and it's the biggest problem because because I'm a lawyer and I'm a law student, and if I can't learn something about law, how I can help the peoples in the future, and because of which at first teachers must be checked about their knowledge, about their studying methods. And then we have a problem about vacancy choose. And some students, I observed that some students were forced by their parents about choosing the faculty, and it's so wrong because it's impossible to become professional about the work which they don't like doing work well. For doing work well, it's them loving it is it's their first. At first, you should love your job if you want to become professional and do it well. Then we have some problems about the books and libraries. Today, I suppose that I suppose that today our libraries
are you talking about? Okay, are you talking about developing countries?
Oh, development countries.
Yeah,
Okay.
the question is about the educational problems in developing countries. Okay.
Okay. Development countries, as every countries, development countries have some universities which don't give the good education to students, and because of each, when our students go abroad and have education, these countries, their diploms don't be acceptable in our country, and it creates big problems about their career, and by this way they waste their time which they spend on foreign country, and I think, of course, because of development level, the countries have less problems than other countries. But for example, their teachers have, for example, their teachers have many modern methods than others. Then I think I think it would be better to eliminate the universities who don't provide students good education and acceptable diploma, because wrong university choice can create many difficulties and hardships in the future. I finished.
Okay. Now, Mr. Alim, can you provide some kind of solutions to such kind of problems in education in developing countries?
Sorry.
For example, there are some problems. There are some problems in developing countries in education sector. For example, literacy rates are very low. Okay, or children often have to work for an let's say for an early age, or there are no schools in many areas of such kind of countries, including African countries or desert-like countries. And families do not generally have access to books or computers or the school-related facilities like libraries. So what kinds of solutions that you can provide in this context to develop the education in developing countries? So probably due to connection.
For this connection problem.
Okay, you can turn off the video in order to make it much faster. Did you get the question?
Sorry. I'm trying to reconnect you.
So if you have any solutions in your mind, you can also provide it until your classmate is back.
Question for me?
Yeah, both of you, Rasul and you, because he's trying to reconnect.
Can you repeat the question?
So which solutions can we provide in order to solve the problems in education sector of developing countries? For example, do you think the assistance from developed countries to developing countries by the provision of money or by the provision of computers, by opening new schools, okay, can it help to solve some of the problems in the education sector? Do you know donation?
Donation.
For example, we can donate computers. We can donate, let's say, money. Help developing countries. Africa. Donation means give, okay? Give as an assistance. We give money to the, let's say, developing countries or their citizens or certain bank accounts? Do you have an answer for this, Ms. Naima?
Yes, I have some ideas about the question. At first, of course, donation is the best solution for reducing the problems, because developing countries have a lack of technology, books, libraries, and other things for which necessary for good education. For example, I observe in local universities that the libraries are very poor about the books. Most of them are old and aren't useful in general, and the information which the book contains aren't actual for modern life.
Out of date. Outdated.
Oh yes, they are outdated. Then using technologies, for example, using the computers, laptops during the lectures would be better. For example, to see the, for example, when teacher writes something on the board during the lecture, the students who sat the backsides can't see the board very well, but if they use the computer technologies, it can be useful. Then I suppose it would be better teacher have computer skills. For example, as I observe at the universities many old teachers, for example, who are, for example, 16-year-old, can't use
16-year-old.
60 years old can't use computer technologies very well, and because of it they don't provide us presentation during the lecture, but giving lecture by presentations can be more attractive for us, because listening to the teacher during the 19 minutes can be boring. Then providing the other things, for example, then I suppose that providing the universities with good buildings, good university building is so necessary, because for example, Bakü State University's building aren't very good condition, and of course not everybody, because of this issue, many students are reluctant about coming the university, because nobody would want to study at an ancient building. I think.
How about the let's say the Ministry of Education of developed countries and developing countries? They must work together. What's your angle in this context?
A question for me?
Both of you. Do you feel like that? By the way, how do we say that work together? The Ministry of Education of developed countries and developing countries, they have to work together. How can we say it in other words? Have you heard about cooperation? They need to cooperate with each other.
Or collaborate.
Or collaborate. Collaboration. The collaboration between the Ministry of Education of developed and developing countries is a necessity. You feel like that? In order to solve some of the problems. Okay, go on. Go on.
Okay, if Russell don't mind, I want to ask.
Doesn't.
Doesn't mind. Okay. I want the collaboration is so necessary for developing something, and education ministry in developed countries worked very well. We can see that from the prominent universities, for example, Harvard, Oxford, and other universities in USA or in Europe. And other developing countries try to use the method of the prominent universities in education, and it can be useful, but it would be better they develop their own methods, because copying the others can't be good in every situation. Developing themselves, it's necessary to have found new methods to develop themselves. Then, of course, for development, it's necessary to have good teacher. Sometimes I observed that in my university, Bakü State University invites the foreign teachers for giving lecture, especially in law faculty, and providing universities foreign teachers who know its subject well and who know the language well can be useful. I finished.
Mm-hmm. Can be useful. Okay, just use your intonation. Use your intonation in a way that it indicates this is the end of your, let's say, speech. And also, let's have a look at some of the problems here before furthering down to the other question. Okay, Rasul, can you pronounce this word?
Can.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'll always say can rather than chan. Okay, and can we say as every countries? Is it
as
true to say? Sorry?
As every countries.
Is it true to say so? Is it right to say like this? So every is a singular adjective, therefore after every we use, so we say as every country, right, rather than as every countries. Or we can say as all countries, okay? If you want to use it in plural, then we need to use here all. If you want to use it in singular, then every country. We can say every country. And whenever you provide the answer, generally it requires the use of sequence. What does it mean, the sequence? Sequence means that you're not only adding 1 point, instead you're adding a number of points. Okay, in this case, you can indicate exactly that this is your first point by first of all in the first place, initially to begin with, and so forth. And the further points might be stated by means of some connective words like furthermore, moreover, in addition to this, or additionally, and so forth. And your final point should also be obvious by stating some of the common connective words like, let's say, to conclude, or as my final point, finally, yet importantly, or last but not least. Okay, use such kind of connective words in order to identify that these are your, let's say, first point, second or third point, or the last point. In this case, it's going to be just a kind of guide for you to indicate that this is your last point, and you don't have to say that this is all or I finished and so forth. You're not going to indicate any of these expressions because your intonation as well as your common connective words will exactly be the demonstrator of the finish line of your education, your speech indeed. And diplomas don't be acceptable. So this is diploma, okay, not diploma, all right? So in English we say diplomas, and don't and be, don't be acceptable. So we say are not acceptable, okay? They are not acceptable. So we have to do with this, acceptable. Universities who don't provide acceptable diplomas, okay?
Universities which don't provide.
Okay, instead of who, or we can use either which or that. And donation, And can you pronounce this word? Rasul. Sorry? Okay, listen to Ms. Naima then.
Reluctant.
Reluctant. Okay, reluctant.
Okay.
It means be unwilling to do, or let's say do not want or yearn to do something. All right. So I am reluctant to, let's say, study biochemistry. It means I don't want to study. I am unwilling to study biochemistry. Okay, maybe. Okay, now I'm going to ask you 2 further questions, and we have 6 minutes to complete this session. So, what do you think about the advantages of higher education, Rasul?
Advantages of higher education.
Do you know what does it mean, higher education? Let's write it over here. Higher education. Higher education is generally used in American English, and its version is tertiary education, which is referred to the education system at the universities, on a university level. After the completion of your school, secondary or high school, then you get to the higher education, which is the university education. The starting point is generally college level, or bachelor's degree can be gotten after the after your high school experience. So what are the advantages of higher education or tertiary education?
Advancement.
What are the advantages of studying at university? Do you know what does university mean, Rasul?
Yes, university.
Okay. So why do we have to study at the universities? Can you talk about that?
Why? Because in schools we learn all lessons, but in university we learn about our job lessons, which is about jobs. Which is about jobs. In universities, universities education is better than schools, and in universities there are a lot of
Creativity to be involved in the lessons. Okay. So as a university student, as a senior student, do you have any comments on Rasul's remarks regarding advantages of higher education? So listen and hear what kinds of further advantages might be involved in higher education.
The question for me?
Yeah.
Or Ali?
You're furthering it, and then I'm going to ask you the other question.
Okay. Of course, having higher education are essential for finding a job, because nobody gives a job who don't have university diploma, and diploma is demanded in every sector, and having a higher education is not only necessary about finding job, it's also necessary for ourselves. For example, finding new friends and developing our relations with people who are around us, and
socialization benefit. Social
yes,
benefit.
Yes, social benefits. And for example, me, I found who of my friends at a university. And without university, it becomes a bit difficult to have friends or good relations.
Okay, tell me two disadvantages of higher education. Okay, only two because we have only 2 minutes, and try to be two disadvantages of higher education.
These disadvantages are possible when you choose a wrong faculty. For example, you can be fail. For example, you can be fail in the future when you in your career if you choose wrong occupation, or some students broke the university. Some students break the university in the middle of the course, and they don't come to the lessons, and they said that university. They said that they are bored. They are bored
of the lessons.
Of the lessons, which aren't interested for them.
And sometimes in some industries, practical training is more important than academic training, right? And also a university degree is not necessary for many service professions and so forth. There are some disadvantages of higher education, but it can be, let's say, gapped by such kind of taking action. Okay, the last minute, and let's quickly glance over our, let's say, mistakes. Having higher education are essential or is essential?
Is essential.
So just this is called.
Okay.
It becomes. So we say it becomes. Okay. It becomes more. We can be fail or we can fail. Okay.
We can fail.
We can fail in our career. All right. So do you have any questions? Because this is the last minute and it's going to stop automatically. Do you have any question to me?
I don't know.
All right, then see you in the next lesson. Have a nice day and bye-bye.
Bye-bye.